It's wild to think that a complete computer takeover can start with just one single click on a file that looks totally harmless. Today, we're going to tear apart a malware campaign from the threat group known as APT36. We're going to follow every single move they make, from that first tricky bait all the way to the final compromise. Let's get into it. And before we dive in, full credit where it's due. Our entire breakdown today is based on a really fantastic, in-depth report from the security researchers over at Threat Intelligence Z Analysis.
All right, so here's our roadmap for tracking this attack. We'll start with the bait, the lure they use to get their foot in the door. Then we'll trace the infection chain as it kicks off. After that, we'll unpack their malicious payload, see how the malware digs in to survive a reboot, listen in on its secret calls home, and finally, wrap up with what we can all learn from their playbook.
Every single cyber attack has to start somewhere. And for this one, it's not some zero-day high-tech exploit. Nope, it's a simple, classic social engineering trick designed to fool just one person. So put yourself in the victim's shoes for a second. You get a file that looks like an important PDF. It's a WhatsApp security advisory from what looks like a national agency. It feels legit, maybe even a little urgent. So the question is, would you click on it? And here it is, the full name of the malicious file. See that ending? .pdf.lnk? Now here's the sneaky part. By default, Windows actually hides that final .lnk extension to make file names look cleaner. So all the user ever sees is a totally normal-looking PDF icon and name. But that hidden .lnk, that's the trigger for the entire attack. So what even is a .lnk file? Well, it's just a regular Windows shortcut, something that points to another program. But for an attacker, it's the perfect Trojan horse. You can give it a PDF icon, a convincing name, and when someone double-clicks it, they think they're opening a document. But what they're really doing is running a hidden command.
Okay, so the trap is sprung. Someone double-clicks that fake PDF. What happens next? A lightning-fast, totally automated infection chain just kicks into high gear.
And this process is just brutally efficient. First, the user clicks the shortcut. That immediately launches a hidden command in a window they'll never even see. That command then uses a legitimate Windows tool, msisc.exe, to reach out to the internet, download, and silently install a malicious MSI file. Now, when we look at the actual command, you can really see how clever this is. They're using msxe.exe, which is the official Windows installer program. Every Windows machine on the planet trusts it. This is a classic living-off-the-land technique, using the system's own built-in tools against itself. It's super stealthy and helps them fly right under the radar of a lot of security software. The malicious MSI package is now on the system. So let's pop the hood and see what's inside. What we find is a payload that unpacks itself in stages, kind of like one of those Russian nesting dolls of malware. At the very core of this package is a .NET executable with the super generic name consoleapp1.exe. This thing is basically the mission coordinator for the next phase of the attack. And digging into this executable, we find these 5 key functions. Honestly, the names kind of give the game away, don't they? One for the PDF decoy, a couple for DLL files, one for another executable, and one for persistence. The attackers clearly weren't trying to be subtle inside their own code. So here's how they all work together in this perfectly malicious symphony. First, PDFumes opens up that decoy PDF document. This keeps the user busy thinking everything is fine. But while they're reading, the other 2 functions are silently working in the background, dropping the malicious files needed to hijack parts of the system. Getting in is only half the battle for malware. The real goal is staying in. It has to be able to survive a system restart. So how does this one pull that off? Well, the malware creates this file called pcdervies.hta. Now, an HTA file is basically an HTML application that can run powerful scripts. And this one has some VBS script embedded right inside it. And this right here is the checkmate move for persistence. That VB script has one job, and one job only, to mess with the Windows registry. It adds the main malware program peaksdearvs.exe to the run key, and that guarantees that every single time the computer boots up, the malware starts right along with it. Game over. All right, the malware is installed and it's persistent. Now it needs its marching orders. This is what we call the command and control, or C2 phase. It's time to phone home. Remember that Winanet DLL file that was dropped earlier? Well, if you look deep inside it, you'll find a hard-coded domain. dnswmiprprovider.com. This is the address for the attacker's server, the C2 mothership. The way this thing communicates is actually pretty clever. To avoid getting spotted by simple network monitoring, the commands are stored in reverse. So when network logs see a request for /rate what's actually happening is a /register command to announce a new victim. /dungamok teg becomes /get command, and /dungamok vitna is a check to see if it's being analyzed in a virtual machine. It's a simple but really effective way to hide. So, after deconstructing this whole thing, what have we actually learned? By breaking down this attack piece by piece, we get a great look at the attacker's tactics, techniques, and procedures. They're TTPs, and that helps us all build better defenses. And if we map these moves to the MITE, ATT, and CK framework, which is the industry standard for this stuff, we see a textbook pattern emerge. They get initial access with a phishing attachment. They achieve persistence using registry run keys. They use DLL hijacking for defense evasion, and they use the DNS protocol for command and control. It's a classic combination because, well, it works. So if we just boil this entire attack down, 4 key things really stand out. 1, it all starts by tricking a human. 2, it hides in plain sight by using the system's own trusted tools. 3, it uses a multi-stage payload to make analysis way harder. And 4, it uses little bits of obfuscation at every single step to stay hidden. And all of this leaves us with a really critical question for the future of cybersecurity. When attackers get this good at blending in, at making their malicious activity look almost identical to normal system behavior, how do we get better at spotting that one tiny abnormal signal in all of that noise? Hey, if you found this deep dive into the APT36 campaign helpful, hitting that like button and subscribing really does help us continue making these explainers. Your support means everything. Thanks so much for joining us.